Bam. We left off with Logan Grant and His Excellency doing things out at the hunting lodge outside of Inverness. If you remember, Father McBride has a friend, a Masonic friend, who lets him use a hunting lodge outside of Inverness, and that's where you guys decided to do your rituals for the Blessed Blade spells that you cast, castrating the cows and all that stuff.
Oh, that's right. The finger of St. Jude that got stuck in the scrotal hole. Right.
Right.
Drank
How
the
could
blood.
we-
It's all coming back to me now.
Yes.
So you guys have spent, I guess, 2 days, 2 nights outside of Inverness now. Let me look at my calendar. See where
Have we
we are.
healed anymore?
Yeah, I was going to say, each of you should be able to heal 2 hit points. So add 2.
Ooh, 2 hit points.
That's good.
It's now Thursday,
A little less
September.
life each.
It's now
How
September
about luck?
25th. Yeah, we're going to do that in a little bit.
Okay.
So you guys have been out there for 2 days. Now it's the 3rd day since you guys have left Inverness, and it's Thursday morning, September 25th, 1924. So what is the plan, man?
I see a lot of new faces here on the board. Duncan McBain's looking pretty rough.
Yeah, they're not new. They're just kind of revised.
Yeah.
What I did is I made some tokens here just to kind of differentiate some of the main characters from the massive cast of characters in this chapter. You've got Inspector Dougal, or Inspector McDougal, who's the head constable in Inverness. You've got Anchan Train, Belphegor, Ian McLennan, and Duncan McBain.
Couple of housekeeping issues. Van Helsing, you've already got like the rewrite of, or at least the extension of the will.
Yes.
Moving along.
He went back to the States to get one-on-one care.
Okay, and then I think we should notify Alessio's family of
Yes.
What's happened to him.
The father, His Excellency, will write a letter and provide them with a prayer card.
Okay.
And contact information.
Absolutely.
Well, let me note. Van Helsing is spending some time in Belgium right now, getting some private care there, with a plan to head back to the States.
Correct. Yes.
You're with a doctor, a psychoanalyst named Dr. Lawrence Vanderberg. And you'll be there for some time before you go back to the States. Also of note, you guys are out in the country. There's no electricity out here. There's not even any post. There's no mail or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
You guys are out in kind of this rustic hunting lodge, out on 40 acres of land out in the country.
With excess of beef.
Lots of beef, yes.
And then we procured a bunch of flare guns and
Yeah, I have
fiery
a
type
flare
items.
gun and 5 flares of all varieties. The shooting kind, the kind you uncork, whatever kind of flare there was, we got 5 different kinds of them.
Yeah, I told you guys to kind of gear up a little bit if you wanted to before the toilet incident, the worm thing.
Do we need to go back into town to write a letter to get communication?
We'd have to go back into town to send it, or at least, yeah. I mean, you guys are about 20 miles or about 15 miles outside of Inverness right now, up in the mountains.
I mean,
Okay, well, I think we came out here. We've accomplished, Your Excellency, I believe we've accomplished what we came out here. We've got 2 blades. We believe they're both blessed. I think it's time to go for a proper witch hunt.
aye, laddie, let's slay the beast.
And you guys have a vehicle as well.
All right.
Actually, I think you have a like a truck and a trailer. That's how you got the cows up here.
Okay, so I borrowed those from my buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we're at Inverness, like 15 miles out of Inverness. Now we need to. So based on what
Here's a map.
those Americans told us and the Italian gentleman, we shouldn't do anything other than travel during the day. That I'm sure of.
Wait, who
We need to
told us
make
that?
sure that this. That's just from the stories they told me. Remember, I met these guys after they'd been attacked by some horrible apparition. They saw the remnants of one of their friends torn in half. So
Yeah, we should all definitely recognize that that Mr. Grant and His Grace are very kind of new to the scene here.
Yeah.
You know, hanging on a limb per se. So it would be right for both of you to be quite paranoid at this point after what happened a few days ago.
Yeah, after
No
seeing that
problem.
thing come out of the toilet.
Paranoia is my A game.
Yeah, I mean, Logan, you were in the war, so you've seen some shit. I mean, nothing like this, of course, but you do have some experience with some stressful events and things like that, but nothing like this.
Yeah, nothing like this in peacetime in the middle of a country road.
Yeah.
Without the Kaiser shooting at us.
I also should note that all of your stuff, at least the important stuff, is still in the secret bookshelf, the secret room behind the bookshelf at Father McBride's residence at St. Mary's Church.
Oh, we didn't move it to the. I thought we moved it to the bank.
So you guys are leaving the lodge and driving back into Inverness.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, before we get back into Inverness proper, Father McBride, do you think it might be a good idea to, find out if there's people looking for us in town? I mean, it wasn't like we left town under calm circumstances.
Hmm.
I
Well,
don't mean to push Your Excellency, but it might be a good time to make a call before we get into the town.
We can. I'll call the church. We could always use the church as a sanctuary. Need be.
All right.
But I can call the church and see if someone's been poking around, see what's left of the damage to the church. So yeah, I'll call the local priest at the parish.
Well, you're gonna have to get to a phone to do that.
We drive close enough to town to get to a phone, but not close enough to town that people see us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are public phones, but you're gonna have to get back to Inverness. And it's only a couple hours tops back to Inverness. It's not very far, but the mountain roads are kind of treacherous up here, so you're gonna have to take it slow. About an hour. Who's driving, by the way? Who's driving the truck and the trailer?
Let's see here. I think my drive skill's probably exactly as good as yours. I drive at a 20.
Yeah, I'll only call for a drive skill if there's something extreme.
Yeah, I drive at a 20 as well. I mean,
both of you guys know how to drive, but
I could.
I'll drive.
It just could be important to know who's driving.
Yep.
About an hour away from Inverness, you come around this bend in the road, Kyle, and up ahead on the side of the road in a ditch, you see what appears to be a car that has crashed. It looks like an American car, probably a Packard. And you can see the rear is kind of upended, on the side of the road right into this ditch. And you can still see some smoke or steam coming out of the front of it. So it looks like it's probably fairly recent.
We're we have to stop.
And I should note too, like this is one of the main roads traveling. Well, you're traveling south towards Inverness, but the road going to the north goes to, I believe it's can't remember the name of the town, but it goes to the next major town to the north. So this is kind of the only major road going to the north out of Inverness. So it's it is fairly well traveled, at least for this day and age.
And this is broad daylight, so
It is.
Let's
It's like
stop
late
and see
morning, 11 a.m. or so.
So let's stop and see if we can help out. And part of my helping is just in case, jaws of life. I have my iron axe in the back of my pants.
Okay.
And I walk over with my cane.
Okay.
Underneath my robe.
All right. There's nobody in the car. You can see just some personal items. There's a map that's kind of splayed open on the floorboard by the front seat. It looks like a local map, a map of northern Scotland.
Any writing on it?
No, anything like that on it.
Nothing circled or anything?
No. During the crash, it looks like the boot or the trunk is popped open, and inside, there's kind of a rudimentary jack with a jack handle. There's a suitcase in there. It just contains women's clothes, like some sundresses and some couple of pairs of shoes. No blood. Actually, both of you guys, give me a spot hidden. How about that?
I think that sounds like an excellent idea. 59. I'm going to spend 9 luck points.
Really?
Yeah, I want to see if there's something there.
Yeah, remember, aren't we supposed to save those for something? Like not tonight? Did I make it or no?
No. Well, actually, you did. Didn't he? Oh, you made it. You made it if we had we had a plus
yeah,
a bonus die. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at the 0 row here for just a regular roll.
I guess 9 points is quite a bit. I'll hold on to it. Yeah.
You rolled a 79, Tom.
You.
You.
You don't see any blood. Although, Logan, you do notice on the driver's side, in the mud, in the ditch, there appear to be footprints. Looks like bare feet.
Bare feet?
Yeah, and they're kind of smeared, and it's kind of muddy down there. There's actually a little bit of standing water in the bottom of this ditch, but you can see it looks like somebody crawled up out of this ditch.
Can I see where the tracks went?
Towards the road. And once they get near the road, you don't see any more. I mean, actually, you do see a couple of footprints, like, mud. But after 10, 15 feet or so, you don't see the footprints anymore. But it looks like the footprints were heading to the south, which is the direction you guys are driving.
Oh, okay, great.
It looks like just a single person, fairly large foot, too. Probably not a woman's footprint.
But there's women's clothing in the car?
Yeah.
All right, well,
go a little bit south and see if we run into her.
Your Excellency, I think if we keep going this way, we'll probably run into whoever it is. We can probably help him out.
Agreed.
All right, so we crank up the truck and keep going down the road.
Okay. All right. After about 20 minutes, up ahead, you guys see, indeed, a man walking away from you up ahead as you kind of come around a curve. Large man. He appears to be dressed. It looks like he's wearing a dress at first. At first you think it's a woman, like a very large woman, but as you get closer, you can see it's a man, and it appears to be wearing a hospital gown. You can tell because it's kind of tied in the back. And you can see him, just walking on the road, stumbling really. And you can see his arms and his legs and the top of his head appear to be covered with bandages. Dirty,
Okay.
like dirty looking bandages.
All right. So we'll slow the car down, and how do you want to work this, Your Excellency? You want to hand?
Yeah. What's your I could get out and talk to him, but you stay in the car, cover me with your shotgun and flaming sword.
I'll cover you with the Leonfield. Yeah.
All right, I get out with my priestly ways and my charm. Aye, laddie, what can I help you?
As you pull up and stop the truck, the man stops and turns to face you, and you immediately recognize him. It's fucking Alessio. And he's all dirty. You can see there's kind of blood smeared underneath his right eye. And he's got some kind of blood that looks like it's dripped down his chest. And he looks in pretty bad shape. And Alessio, you hear this motor vehicle coming down the road behind you, and you hear the squeal of the brakes as it stops, and you turn. And you see this huge truck with this trailer, and Logan and his Grace sitting in the cab of the truck. And you all just kind of look at each other for a moment.
Is his arm all shriveled up?
Yeah, you can see some portions of his hands, which, I mean, most of his body's covered with bandages, but parts of his hands aren't. I mean, you can see some of his fingers are blackened. And you can see his face looks bruised and black.
I'm like, I can't believe you're here. I just fled from the hospital. I was being chased by these horrible creatures. Let me get in the car, get out of the way. I can open the door and get in the car and close the door.
Alessio kind of stumbles at that point, and he kind of falls,
I make sure none of the mirrors are reflecting on anybody. They're all out, broken, removed.
Dude, if there's any mirrors in the car, I rip them out immediately.
We would have done that before we left, but regardless. Making sure.
Okay, like,
assuming Alessio's not possessed or something, he doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like falling out of the truck practically. Like, how is this possible?
I'm like, I'm one tough motherfucker. Let's get out of here.
Fugats.
Okay,
yeah, he starts kind of. This stream of like Italian profanity starts coming out of his mouth. He seems to be saying, drive, like, get the hell out of here.
All right, well, let's get him in the car.
Do you need your suitcase back in the car?
No, that's not mine. I just jacked that car to get the hell away from the hospital.
Got it.
Where were you being held at? Which hospital?
I wasn't being held. I was being helped. I was at St. Mary's Hospital after the fire. I survived. I survived the whole fucking thing, man. The police dragged me out of the fire and took me to the hospital.
Okay, well.
And I had some realizations too. While I was in my morphine. Yeah, while I was in my morphine haze, I realized those.
Morphine is good.
Those containers you guys have with the custodes and the material, right?
Yeah.
The custodes are those fucking blue Norseman bastards. The white albinos.
Oh.
That's what they are. They are.
What?
Yeah.
What belongs to the white albinos?
No, the white albinos are the custodes.
The custodes. The custodes are the guards, right?
Apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have. So basically, they're bringing people back from the dead to act as their henchmen, which is a pretty scary thought because that means they have possibly an unlimited supply of these freaks. Right?
Revelation.
They go into the. Yeah, it was a revelation.
Yeah,
no,
I think
Revelation. Bible.
You guys have a handful of these lead stoppered bottles. That you guys found beneath the lodge in Boston. Some of them were marked materia, some were marked custodes. And with Alessio's time spent in the hospital, just kind of thinking about all the shit that's going on, it occurred to him exactly what he just told you guys.
You mean those bottles that crazy doctor brought to us?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps Alessio was thinking like, well, he just barely escaped death. He was pulled out of that fire by the firefighters that arrived. And perhaps he was thinking in his mind, like, because he knew that Van Helsing knew the secret to resurrection, to bring people back from the dead, but he didn't have that missing piece. He needed to learn how to derive essential salts from a corpse, and it got him thinking, about these lead stoppered bottles that you guys, it has this bluish gray powder, which fits the description given in the Necronomicon.
Of the essential salts.
Yeah, you guys know that the full version of the resurrection spell is contained in the Necronomicon.
Alessio, did you have any realizations about the materia? Like what that is?
Not really. No.
Okay. But I wonder if we bring back these custodes.
Maybe the materia is what they make those freaks in the pit that you guys were described, right? When the lodge, when you get into the bottom of the lodge, in the pits, maybe that's the materia. I don't know.
Yeah, and perhaps I don't know, perhaps one of the things that led Alessio to believe this is that just the word custode is derived from the Latin, meaning, servant, essentially, or caretaker, something like that. So it got him thinking, and it's just a hunch, but
yeah. And I was questioned by the police.
Oh yeah,
they found some shell casings. I basically told them I didn't really quite remember exactly everything that had happened because of my injuries, but that we had been attacked. Someone came to the door. Someone came to the door and attacked the door, and there were gunshots and physical combat, and fire started, and crazy shit happened. And I tried to relate it back to what was going on in Canich and say, obviously we found our friend who was murdered, and we run into all this trouble. It's obviously connected. So I tried to draw some connectivity for the law enforcement.
Hmm.
And they definitely want to talk to you two.
I can only imagine.
So
yeah, he's had a couple of visits from old Inspector McDougal.
And I don't think it's a bad idea to get the police on our side as far as, I mean, you are the Archbishop. We were attacked at the church, so that's serious jib-jab for the police.
All right, let's go back to the church, man, and get a hold of the inspector. Say, yes, we need to get to the bottom of this. Who attacked us?
So what do you guys, I mean, again, you guys aren't quite as fucked up as me, so what, I mean, if you're going to say someone...
You escaped from the hospital. So let's take a look at Alessio here real fast and, make sure that he's not bleeding out or he's got
second-degree burns over about 50% of his body.
Oh, wow.
Second and third.
He's fucked up.
And also, parts of his body have been affected by what appears to be something akin to frostbite.
Does it look like my burns?
Where it looks like parts of his skin are just dead. It's like dead skin. It's getting all dry and flaky, and looks like it might be beginning to fester.
Beginning to fester.
And why did you run away from the hospital, Alessio?
I've had some horrible dreams.
Wait. For a moment, you don't want to say He seems very hesitant when you ask that question. He looks at you, and his eyes get kind of wide, and he kind of shakes his head like this. But go ahead.
Yeah, I've had some horrific dreams. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that.
We can't leave it at that. There's too much afoot here. I mean, you gotta understand, Alessio, like, the last time we saw you, you were fucking dead. I was blowing guys away in the bathroom where the, worm shite came out, and
I know. I remember. I felt the warm spray of their blood on my face. That guy you shot. So, thank you.
And Logan, you saw him get stabbed by that albino.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, like, I'm happy to see you, but I mean, these wounds. You need proper medical care.
He definitely.
You should probably take me back to the hospital. Come on. But someone should stay with me. I'm a little afraid.
Doesn't explain why you left in the first place.
Oh well, okay. So basically, I'm at the hospital. I drift off to sleep, and I have this dream. I'm a kid again, back in Italy with my brother, and we're in the backyard. And he has this telescope. It's this odd telescope. It's brass. It looks weird. He got it from someone. We start looking through it. Bad things happen. It's traumatic.
What did you see, Sonny? You can tell the father.
It's hard to describe.
His holy excellency's asking Alessio.
Something evil and
the power of the Father compels you.
Yeah, I shoot him the sign of the cross and give him a blessing. Touch his forehead. Oh, my son.
Yeah.
Lee,
Thank you, Father. But it's
if you want to tell him, I can put some of the text. I can send some of the text to you if you want. Let me see here. Here's what I'll do.
I'm a little nervous the way the DM is talking to Alessio.
We wouldn't know that.
You should be paranoid. I told you that.
I'm totally paranoid. He's got festering flesh, and I saw him go down with a stab wound from a.
Hey, didn't you get blasted? Didn't you get blasted with that spell too?
I did,
Logan. Well, you have the same festering flesh as me.
I didn't get stabbed in the chest. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know. That's what I was asking before. Like,
yeah, it's the same.
Sean, I was asking, like, his skin look like mine? Because I lost 5 appearance points from that shit.
Well, that's right. You're festering too.
Yeah, I got fucked up.
Yeah, well, you're not festering. You're not really festering, though. I mean, you actually got some help. During that day, you were able to kind of bandage things out. You didn't get hit as bad by that. You
didn't get stabbed in the chest. Yeah, you didn't get stabbed in the chest and burned.
See here.
No, I didn't.
Sounds like a lot of rationalization going on here. I'm getting less and less comfortable.
Hey, be happy that I opened the window for you.
All right, Lee. I just whispered some text, big, huge blocks of text there. If you want to just paraphrase.
I think that went to everybody.
It did, because I can see it too.
Okay, just read that. Read that horrible tale.
I'll read it. Vincenzo, who is Alessio's younger brother, and their children in the dream standing in the backyard of their boyhood home in San Luca. And Vincenzo's talking to...
The reason I'm alive is to kill evil.
Vincenzo's talking to Alessio about how he got a strange brass telescope from a friend who wanted to get rid of it in a hurry. And you've hauled it into the yard of your house and are looking into it. And the eyepiece shows a vast black starless expanse of space. And the more you look, the more you feel that you're being watched by something very unpleasant. After a while, stars started appearing, but only in areas that you and Vincenzo aren't looking at. The stars get closer and closer. An increased sense of unease washes over you both, and eventually you both realize that among the faint stars are several pairs of monstrous eyes. You quickly step away from the telescope, but it's too late. A shimmering black portal opens in the yard, and loud sucking sounds emit from the black gate as horrible, indescribable, demonic creatures start spilling out of the portal. You fight them and try to run, but they seem unending. You hear screams all around you as the monsters attack neighbors and passersby. Suddenly, all of the creatures fall twitching on the ground, and something else appears in the place of the portal. It looks like a person, a youngish, baby-faced man with short dark hair and spectacles. He wears a gray business suit that has something odd about it. His large, dark, watery eyes gaze at you, and you realize that the man is not a man at all, but manifestly something else. With a booming voice, it commands you to kneel before it and acknowledge it as your Lord and Master. You are compelled by overwhelming fear to do so, and kneeling before it, you struggle to regain control of yourself. You close your eyes and begin murmuring prayers under your breath, and you are certain that the thing is aware of your every thought. And that's when Alessio woke up in a hospital bed.
Okay, these logs talked about something that happened in Brazil a while ago about these guys. Something about the zone or the dreamland state.
That's true. And also, Yusufus Braun was plagued by terrible dreams for quite some time as well, mostly having to do with the Dark Child. Alessio actually would probably mention too that during that same dream, earlier in the dream, he found himself out in the woods. And he didn't recognize it at the time, but he probably recognized it now. It was the woods between Canich and Inverness when you guys were on the road, except he was just out in the middle of the woods and he began hearing these screaming, terrible sounds and the beating of hooves and shit out in the forest. And he started getting scared, so he started running. And then he started catching glimpses of a naked Caucasian woman out in the forest, kind of stalking him.
It's her, Chantrain witch.
And then the dream kind of flipped all of a sudden into him standing in the backyard with his younger brother when he was a child.
Sounds like you are in telepathic communication with her, and you got a glimpse of what she was doing and seeing somehow. Because that was days ago. There's time travel here. There's
It's witchery, man. It's witchcraft for sure.
Did you feel like the witch could read your mind?
No, it wasn't like that. It was like I was there experiencing this stuff full on.
Man, your sacred salt's reborn, dude. Somebody sprinkled some salt on you.
I don't think so, man. I just think I got lucky and the firefighters managed to resuscitate me.
Nah, you're a salt mine. We got an issue, Kyle.
You're a salt mummy.
You're a salt mummy.
I think he would be healed better if he was a salt mummy. But I think we should definitely keep a close eye on him. And I shoot McBride a look. I'm like, let's just keep an eye on him. But for now, it's Alessio. Let's get him to the doctor.
Get me to the hospital.
Does he really have wounds underneath his bandage?
Yes, he's badly burned over like 50% of his body.
Hey, man, I got fucked up.
In severe pain as well.
Saving your asses.
Okay, Salty. Okay.
Hey, don't take credit, man.
Damn, Tom, you're a priest, man. Where's the compassion?
I've seen enough to know.
He saves it for the orphans.
The orphans, yeah.
Only the orphans get his compassion.
Yeah.
Everyone else can go suck it, saith the Lord.
Yeah.
Where's Alessio?
Believe me, I wish I would have been resurrected. I wouldn't have been burned over 50% of my body and have these horrible wounds. This gaping wound in my chest where this knife was.
There he is.
Get me to the hospital.
He's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, man.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Damn straight.
Okay.
Can't kill the assassin.
Yeah.
Well, Alessio,
That's another one for the storybooks right there, man.
We stole
That's
most
another
of
part of the Taylor's legend.
we stole most of your shit, so most of your stuff's still intact.
True that.
Awesome. Cool.
I mean, we kept it as keepsakes.
I'm glad you have all my stuff. That's good.
A Viking horde going through your stuff.
If you have any more dreams, you need to let us know, laddie.
Oh, dude, I won't be able not to let you know. I mean, the last time I jumped up from the bed and bolted and stole a car and drove like a madman until I crashed it.
Okay, so stealing the car was about a madness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It was a dream.
I remember reading in the journals about Eusephus running into the street after some sort of dream or something. So
Well,
you saw the shape the good doctor was in.
And I should say, you know, Logan and his grace, your grace, you guys are intelligent fellows. It's still a little unclear exactly what happened before Alessio fled the hospital. He does tell you about these dreams, of course, but it is still a little unclear as to what exactly happened. He doesn't seem to really want to talk about it. So you guys are heading back. I'm going to reload real quick.
Okay, so did the police officers that brought you in, did they leave you cards? Like, you know, how to contact them?
Oh, yeah. There's actually, I had him post a constable outside my door. So they're probably looking for me right now. So.
Well, it sounds like you left us a really good story here, so that's also good, you know?
But you guys need to decide before we get to the hospital. You guys need to decide exactly: are the assailants going to have masks on? Were there 3 of them? Did they have firearms? Yes, they had firearms, right? I mean, did they have right? They attacked us. I mean, just think about what your stories are going to be.
Well, Alessio, what did they find in the room
what
with
you told the inspector, of course.
Yeah, just tell us the story you told them, and then we're good.
Yeah, Alessio remembers what he told the inspector. I believe.
Yeah.
If you want me to refresh your memory, I think you basically told him that you were just minding your own business, and 2 guys came bursting into the room, one with an axe and one with a knife, and just began attacking you. You couldn't remember. I think you just basically said, I couldn't remember how the fire was started. I just remember being assailed by these men. He asked you if they had firearms. I believe you said no. Yeah, and I think you were kind of unsure what happened after that. You didn't know the whereabouts of Logan or McBride, and that's pretty much what he told him, I think.
Did you say they found shell casings?
Yeah, they found your rifle shell casings.
Don't
worry, man.
He overheard the inspector on a phone call outside the door, and he just heard him mention a rifle and a shell casing.
You can tell him, man, that this guy stabbed me in the chest. You know, you were defending my life, do or die, right?
I was just casually coming out of the bathroom with my Reader's Digest and Lee-Enfield rifle and fell prone and started popping off rounds.
No, I mean, if you were in the other room and these guys came in and attacked me, you'd have a chance to grab your rifle.
Yeah, which you do not have a permit for, by the way.
It was an ongoing, or well, maybe it's not your rifle then. Maybe some
I don't have a permit for it.
No,
I'm an upstanding citizen of Scotland. Of course, I have a permit for it. It's a hunting rifle.
I'm an avid hunter.
Yes.
I go hunting with my Mason buddies all the time.
All right. I think we need to figure out if you have a permit or not.
Okay. If it's better for the game that I don't, no problem.
Logan, roll your credit rating.
Go down to the DMV, Kyle.
It's not that easy.
I see Patty and Selma.
Exactly.
Logan, you've got a 24 credit rating.
Bring a carton of cigarettes with you.
All right. I think it went up last time.
I mean, we can we know you have the rifle. You used it. It's probably your you know, the rifle you were issued in the military, right, is a 303, I believe. Now, you do not have a permit for that rifle.
Now, can I use luck for those? It'd be a lot,
Well,
though.
you could just say one of them had the rifle. You don't know, you know. You could just be like, I don't know anything about a rifle, right?
Of course, I'll let
you-
you use luck for the roll.
It's a lot of luck for all.
That's a lot of luck, man.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll just say that they came in with the guns. Look,
How much
got
luck would you have to
parish.
burn?
You were guests of mine.
12 points.
You were guests of mine, and these guys just came in. The good doctor introduced me to you, and we were just reminiscing about, you know, some of your adventures, and just now just getting to meet you guys. Had a little drink, and these guys came busted through the door. Started shooting. We jumped out the windows.
Yeah.
And
Just keep in mind this though. If you use the luck, which is quite a bit, but if you use it and you get the permit, then you have the permit. You know what I mean? You'll be able to use the rifle. And you know what I'm saying? There is an advantage to
Does
that.
McBride have a permit for his shotgun since he goes hunting?
You don't need permits for shotguns. For smooth bore rifles, you don't need permits.
Got it.
Anybody can have a shotgun. It's just rifles and handguns that are kind of strictly forbidden. You have to have a good reason to have a rifle if you have a permit for one.
All right, I burn the luck.
Okay.
So I subtracted the points.
Okay. So we'll just say that you know, apparently you have a good reason to own a rifle. I don't know, what's a good reason to own a rifle? 1920 Scotland. I mean, most hunting is done with shotguns, of course, but if you're an avid hunter, you know, and you know, if you know people, I mean, you are a native Scotsman for one thing.
Yeah,
you know?
given my service to the Queen and country, given my avid sportsmanship, and yeah,
He likes to use his 303 to take a red deer every once in a while.
He
deal.
belongs to the Edinburgh militia.
Ooh, I like that.
How about that?
You have militia buddies.
Yeah.
militia buddies.
Bunch of
All right.
drunk, salty Scots with guns.
Salty.
All right.
He said salty.
All right, so you have a
Sure.
permit for it. So now all you're going to have to probably do is just explain, you know, what happened. If you're going to talk to the police,
Yeah,
you're going to want.
I think we were. Hey guys, we were talking about a hunting trip.
Sure.
How's
Absolutely.
that? Yeah, we were
Buddies
talking
that,
about a hunting
hunt
trip,
all the
and
time.
you have the friends where we could you know,
Yep.
use a hunting lodge, and
I thought it would be a good way to get away from it all and take a break. And then
we were attacked by a bunch of freaks.
we were attacked, and then we felt so bad that, you know, we had lost him, and we went on the hunting trip. Just the two of us to try to cover.
No, listen, all we know is we got savagely attacked, and we didn't know by who or what,
but we left town for 2 days.
Yeah,
Why?
I think that's because
because
man.
you know, well, dude, I mean, finding our friend's body in Canich, and then being attacked at the church clearly means there's some. I mean, these people are after us, right?
So I got
and that's exactly what I told the cop. I was like, man, obviously there's some connection between what happened in Canich and us discovering our friend's body and reporting it to the police there. And these, apparently the people who are involved in that followed us up here and tried to kill us.
And I got
You know?
Logan out of town. And
Also, I
said,
believe
some Mason buddies, and I know where we can go.
Also, I believe Alessio mentioned Belphegor to Inspector McDougal, and he believed that Belphegor could be located in Canich.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And he said, you know, why do you think that? And no real reason, I guess, but he was kind of interested to hear about that.
Well, just the fact that he's been convicted of murder and kidnapping, and he's on the loose, and our friend gets murdered. And this
Yep.
other person's missing, and then we get, we're attacked up here. It seems, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? They're a little too coincidental to have all
And
the
then you
shit going
punctuate it
on.
with a Fugats.
That's right.
Fugats.
Didn't Constable McNeil go up and find the body?
Yes. Well, you guys accompanied him up there. You guys were with them.
That's
Well,
right.
not,
Oh, that's
not
right.
you
Yeah.
guys, but Alessio, Sparky, and Van Helsing were with him when he found the body.
Right. So that's the story I told, So just mold your story to that. We were attacked. You guys defended yourself, and fire started. You had to flee, and then you were in fear of your lives.
Yeah.
There was a clue that was given to you by, I believe, Andrew Kennedy when Alessio, when you guys were in Canich, and he had mentioned to you a couple of things. Something about Ian McDonald, who is a farmer in the area, had told him that he saw Duncan McBain, a young woman, and an Englishman at Loch Mullerdock. So there's a clue. Who was the Englishman? Was that Belphegor? Or there are actually rumors of some strange Englishman named Tommy Hayes, who's in town too. It could have been him, but Belphegor is from England. He could be an Englishman.
Right.
Also, he said that he was told by Jamie McNabb, another farmer shepherd in the area, that he had seen Duncan McBain chanting at the Standing Stones in Craig Dube, which is a house near the McBain residence. And he also told him that this guy, Willie Wassel, who has sort of a bad reputation in the area, is staying out with Duncan McBain.
Willie.
Yeah, and I believe also you were told that it's believed that this woman, this young woman, has been seen also at Ian McClellan's place. Ian McLennan's place. He's like the wealthiest farmer in the area of Canich, and she's been seen out at his place.
She's bewitched that dude.
So, I talked to the local. Well, when we get back, I'll talk to the local priest. What the inside scoop is about his parish. Ian McLennan, Duncan McBain. What have they been up to, the locals, given all this strangeness going on? I got to get back to the church, though.
Yeah, it's been a little more than 2 weeks since you guys were in Canada, so some time has passed. So you guys get back into Inverness. Alessio definitely needs some medical care. He actually passes out and goes unconscious for a little while as you guys enter Inverness. He's in a lot of pain.
Take me to the hospital, damn it. And someone stay with me. Call the cops. Talk to them.
Right. I'll
Then someone can go to the church.
Father, I think you've got to go to the church. I'll stay here with Alessio.
Take him to the hospital. I'll go to the church, and I'll call the police, and go from there. But get Alessio to the hospital.
Okay.
And stay in touch and let me know what happens.
Okay, so you guys pull out in front of the hospital in the truck and the trailer, and unload Logan and Alessio.
Bring on the morphine.
Yeah, one of the nurses on duty is kind of surprised to see you, Alessio.
Excuse me.
Why is she surprised?
She kind of ridicules you a little bit, like, "Where have you been? Why did you leave?" And she gets on the intercom, and she's like, "We need a bed, stat," and they get you up to a room, but she's kind of lectures you a little bit.
Well, that's sweet. She cares.
Yeah, and you're a mess, dude. You got like mud and blood all over you and shit.
I say something nice to her in Italian. It sounds real nice.
For God's.
No, I don't say for God's sake.
It's like the Italian equivalent of Smurf. Smurf this, Smurf that.
And it's not too long before a police officer shows up. And he asks, he says, what happened, Mr. Savastano? You left very suddenly. And we've been looking for you.
I had a horrible nightmare about being attacked, and I basically flipped out and I ran. I apologize.
I give him a blessing.
I had a flashback from the attack.
I give him a blessing and I comfort him in front of the police officer. Oh, my son, may the Lord be with you and heal you.
He says, Your Grace, Inspector McDougal's been looking for you he wanted to have some questions about the fire at St. Mary's.
Ah, yes. I must talk to him immediately.
Says, very well, I'll get him on the phone. I'll get him over here immediately.
All right, well, he's talking to the officer. I continue to comfort Alessio.
I tell him, say, have the police officer meet me at the church. I'm going there now to take.
I whisper to load into your morphine.
You whisper what?
Morphine.
Oh yeah, they give you some. Yeah, they give you some stuff for the pain. You're feeling much better now. They change your bandages, clean your wounds, and they do seem a little worried. Some of the blackened skin is beginning to look infected and beginning to fester and bleed and get a little pussy and stuff. So they're a little concerned about that. So they give you some morphine and they start cleaning your wounds pretty thoroughly. Not too long afterwards, the police officer comes into the room and says, Mr. Grant, Your Excellency, Inspector McDougal is ready to speak with you.
No, I said I was going to meet him at the church.
Says, well, he's here now.
Okay.
All right, well,
let's go talk to him.
By all means.
So he leads Grant and McBride to an adjoining room that's empty. There aren't any patients in here. And McDougal is sitting in there. He's a kind of a middle-aged man, a little pudgy. He's wearing this bowler hat, and he's smoking a cigar as you come walking in. He's standing by the window, looking out, and he turns to face you as you enter and greet you. And he says, I'm very happy to see that Mr. Savastano has made it back to the hospital. We were quite worried about him.
Well, your worry's well founded. He's in terrible shape.
I'd like to know how he left the hospital. What happened? Why was he not cared for?
He says, we don't know. He just disappeared in the middle of the night. And apparently he stole a vehicle and left.
He's traumatized from the attack we suffered.
Clearly he's been traumatized.
Yeah, he says, my deputy tells me that he was that he may have been having some trouble with some hallucinations or some dreams or something like that, which is not uncommon, someone in his condition, of course. But we are glad to have him back. Thank God, he says. He says, gentlemen, I have some questions to ask about the fire at St. Mary's Church 3 nights ago.
Aye, what a horrible ordeal.
Can you tell me what happened? And he gets out a notebook, a little stylus.
Okay, I'm using my charm skill. And I am charming him with my excellency ways.
Mm-hmm.
What's your charm score, Your
65.
Excellency?
65.
65. Ooh, charming.
I am a charmer.
Okay.
You better be if you're an
Laddie,
archbishop.
let me tell you, it was horrible. My friends and I were back in the rectory, and these men burst in and attacked us for no reason. It was insane. It must have been a robbery.
Okay. And he says, can you describe these men?
It all happened so fast. They started shooting. There was a fire. I remember running out the window as quickly as I could.
They started shooting, you said? They had firearms?
Yes, and an axe. I remember them beating down on the door.
Did both of them have firearms, Your Grace?
Oh, I don't remember that.
But at least one of them had a firearm, you said.
I believe so.
Do you know, was it
Maybe
a
it was
handgun?
maybe it was the
or was
popping
it a
sound of the burning logs. It happens all so quickly.
Yeah, I see.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, though, don't forget, Father, we were there to specifically talk about the hunting trip, and after these guys broke in and started attacking and actually stabbed Mr. Savastano, I'm a war vet, and I took some shots to try to get them away from us.
I see. Was that your rifle that we found in the room, Mr. Grant?
Yeah, what kind of rifle was it? There was more than one weapon there, but there was mine, but
What kind of rifle do you own?
I have an Enfield. And here's the appropriate licensure for it.
Bitch.
All right. He looks it over.
And never in a million years would I have imagined I would have had to use that in self-defense in the Lord's house. My God.
So you actually fired the rifle. How many times did you fire? Do you recall?
I think I fired 3 times. maybe twice. Hard to say. I think 3 times.
We didn't record that night, did we?
We did not.
Shit.
And do you think those shots were successful? Were you able to injure or wound these men with the rifle? Do you remember?
You mean it have not been caught?
Yeah,
No.
I believe
No,
I
they
struck.
How could they not be? How could they have escaped the fire?
I struck. I know I landed 2 shots for sure on each of the assailants.
Mhm.
Positive.
You found no bodies at the scene.
No, Father, we didn't actually.
What?
You've not found these assassins, these attackers?
So
Have you
these
not
madmen
talked to
they're on the loose. I like pace madly around the room like this.
There's
How is that possible?
he said
First, you don't take care of our esteemed friend, or acquaintance, I should say, his serious injuries, and you can't even find the assailants who did this to us?
says the investigation is underway, Your Excellency. We're doing the best we can to find these men. We did find some blood and some other evidence that would indicate that there were some injuries caused by firearms. But no, we haven't been able to find these men. This is part of the reason why I'm asking you these questions right now, you see.
How is that possible?
Can you describe these men for me again? There were 2 men, correct?
2 men, very pale skinned.
Ooh.
He's writing in his notebook.
Well, I mean, that's what they look like.
Mm-hmm. Height, weight. How were they dressed?
They had
Big scary
suits on.
dudes.
I mean, they didn't have hats on, did they, Sean?
No. They were just dressed in suits, kind of shabby looking suits, business suits.
All right, so I'll tell them exactly that. I'll leave out everything except for things that might make
He says
A worm person.
Let me ask you, gentlemen, do you have any reason to believe that these men what the motive of these men was for this attack? Any reason? Any reason why you would think that they would have done this?
Well, of course not. I'm horrified. It was the house of the Lord. How could you ever have a reason?
Well,
to
I
attack
mean,
the house of the
but
Lord?
I think if Alessio, we were telling a story before, right? You had kind
Yeah,
of laced this
I told,
into.
yeah, I told him, man. I told him that we'd found our friend's body had been killed down in Canich, and there's this
Yeah,
crazy
so
dude
I
running
mean,
around there that's been accused of murder and kidnapping, and then we come up here and we get attacked. What the hell? I mean, that's definitely
yeah,
some shit's going on.
Yeah, you're not in the
Yeah.
room, Lee. Shut up.
Well, anyways, so that was funny.
So the answer is
You're not in
no.
the room. Shut up.
So the answer is no. There's no reason why we think these guys had something headed into
All
it.
we know is maybe there was something. I mean, we just met Alessio not so long ago, so he may know more. I know my friend, the researcher that I used to work with, that was in that area, was found murdered, and it just seemed coincidental that
You're talking about Henry Hancock.
yeah, because didn't they find him in the wall there?
Yes.
The local constable. So that's a confirmed murder. It seems like that might have something to do with this. I don't know. We don't know.
Yes. Well, that's what we think too. We think that this attack may have been some kind of retribution for interfering in this criminal activity that may be going on in Canich. Tommy, give me that charm roll. Roll your charm. Logan, can you give me a either a fast talk, charm, or persuade?
Fast talk, charm, or persuade. I think my charm is probably my highest. Charm.
His excellency got an extreme or hard success with his charm roll.
Nice. Aye, laddie.
Oh, nice roll, Tom.
I've heard of these horrible.
Wait, I rolled the wrong dice because my charm is. Wait, I thought it was. Wait a minute. I just rolled yours, Alessio. Sorry.
Yeah, don't roll Alessio's charm.
No, well, I rolled
That's
off of his
not-
sheet, but my charm is 52, so I made it.
Okay, so that would be 52, so 20.
Alessio's not the most charming guy.
Okay.
He swings a machete real good.
Okay.
He's not the most charming individual.
He says, do either of you know how the fire was started? Any idea?
No.
Maybe a candle tipped over or something like that. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the shots from the assailants ignited, something. That's all I can imagine. It seemed like it came out of nowhere.
Okay. He says, very well, gentlemen. Thank you for answering my questions. He says, I'd like to speak with Alessio briefly, if it's okay. I think we should let him get a little more comfortable before I speak with him, though. He says, Mr. Grant, would you mind coming down to the station a little later this afternoon? There are some other questions I'd like to ask you, and I don't want to take too much of your time.
Oh, that's fine. Of course.
He says, if you could come down to the local precinct at about 4 p.m.
Okay.
And please bring that rifle permit with you if you would.
Absolutely.
Okay. And he takes his hat, tips his hat to you, extinguishes his cigar and the
Can
ashtray.
I roll psychology on this dude right now and just see like what his intentions are? Yeah.
Sure.
I'm trying to scan the planet of the surface and see what we got going on here.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Go ahead, Tom.
Ooh, and I have a check mark next to that.
That's probably because you made it last time.
What'd I
That's
get?
a fail. You rolled a 90.
Ooh. Not enough luck in the world to fix that.
Inspector McDougal has a hell of a poker face. Just put it that way.
I say, well, God bless you, son. I hope you find these people that have done these awful deeds to my new friends.
Yes, we'll definitely be in touch, Your Excellency. Thank you for your time.
In the meantime, Mr. Grant, you have a safe haven at the church, should you need it. You too, Alessio. May the Lord be with you.
Can we take a quick break, perhaps?
Yeah, let's take 5.
Yeah, and just to warn you guys, I'm going to move my computer, and I know apparently that sounds like 3 atom bombs going off. So
This
you might want to turn
is
your
where I
volume
dip
off.
out right now. Bye.
Or just
Yeah, exactly, because I got to move it.
or just mute it.
I did before, and you guys still heard stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently it's got something to do with the system stuff. But anyways,
All right, I'll be right back.
you've been warned.
All right, I'm back.
Hey,
You back, Lee?
yes, I am. What's up, Tom? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Afraid you're a big salt. I'm concerned about you, Lee.
Alessio's just tough, man. I managed to survive.
If I need to do an exorcism, let me know.
Well, it's good to know that's always available.
So it's hard playing this new character, because I keep trying to think. I'm trying to listen to knowledge that I wouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think what you guys would have told me, because I met you guys like what, 2 weeks ago. I mean, the doctor came to me and confessed and got worried, and so I went out. And then you guys came. 2 weeks later, came banging on my church door with a box on the roof, this crazy story, and brought a bunch of...
Yeah, you really need to take the time to read the notes, man. All the crazy notes that the former party members, our lineage has passed down onto us. That's
Okay, guys,
Alessio's
what do you
definitely
think's
been
going to happen
thinking
at the
about.
police station?
Huh?
I guess I would have had time to read that stuff, right? Because I had a broken leg for a couple days.
I mean, that's you guys definitely need to read all the notes made by the former
That's true.
former members of this organization, which really Alessio is. We need to somehow find some way to pass on this information. You know,
Yep.
he's concerned. He was at
What do you
death's
guys think
door.
the,
He's like,
I'm keeping a log.
What do you think the good inspector is going to ask me at the police station? I'm a little concerned here.
I don't like the idea of them separating us.
just be cool, man. Keep it simple. You know.
Hmm.
You don't have to answer any questions. You know, you can say, I don't know. If it's, if it's something incriminating.
I mean, he would know that we talked to what's his name, that other police officer, right? I mean,
Here's
or
the
at least
thing,
he could
man.
find
You
it
just
out.
have to make sure that you assert, we were being attacked. And so that's why you defended yourself and other people. That's all there is to it.
Oh, Lee, I was going to tell you, like, Kike, one of his little
Yeah.
friends, he went over and his dad's a purple belt with Zycro.
Really?
Yeah, so he came back and he was
Cool,
like,
man.
look at these different arm locks I learned. And I was like, oh, yeah, where's the guy train at? And then he told me, and I was
Felipe.
like, oh, well, he's for real. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Felipe, have you looked at his website lately?
Not lately.
He's
No.
man. He's got quite a big school there, man.
No, I mean, he's had a big school for a while.
Yeah, he's done well. Well, couldn't have happened to a better person. He's a wild man. Well, Felipe. 100% Brazilian, that guy.
Like Alessio. Or is he Italian? What is Alessio? Italian?
He's Italian.
Yeah, he's
He's what?
Italian.
Italian?
He's
Okay.
Italian. Yeah. He's from Calabria, so he's Calabrese.
Okay.
I am back.
All right, so I guess I'm going back to the church. You're going to come back to the church first, Kyle?
Yeah, but I don't think we should leave Alessio alone. Why don't I stay with Alessio?
That's right.
And then we tag out when I have to go to the.
Yep.
Someone needs to be with me, man. I don't want to be left alone.
I'm going to go check on the church, and I'll check on our shit.
Probably for good reason, right, Alessio?
Give me, yeah, exactly.
And then come back here, Tom.
Unwanted visitor.
Okay. Should I bring it all here, or should I leave it there? Nah, I got to leave it there. If we're being
Yeah, of
watched,
course.
I can't bring
Yeah.
all that shit.
No.
It's safe.
So what's going on? You going to the church?
Yes. To check in on it.
Okay. Well, Father O'Connor's there, Craig O'Connor. He's the head of the parish there at the St. Mary's Church. And he explains to you, that most of your quarters is okay. It's just the bedroom area that was badly burnt. And he said they're already working on renovations, Your Excellency.
I go check on the work.
Yeah, the work is proceeding pretty well. Luckily, the sort of study area, the sitting room, where you first go in, the entrance, has been unharmed by the fire, and there aren't any workers in there. This is where the bookshelf is. Okay, the secret bookshelf. But it's mostly the bedroom area between the study and the bathroom that's been badly damaged. And
The combat area.
yeah, they've cleared out all of the refuse, all the burnt up furniture and stuff like that, and they're putting in new carpet, some paint and stuff like that. There's 2 guys up there working on it.
Okay. Well, I check out the study. I look for more damage. I make myself at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit in my chair and I read a book, mill about, and check for anything wrong.
Doesn't seem to be anything wrong. Everything in the study area seems to be intact,
Okay.
including the bookshelves and in your private stuff. You have a file cabinet there with some papers and stuff like that. And nothing's really been touched or anything like that.
I write a few letters. I write a letter to. Well, let's see. Should I write a letter to Alessio's family? Tell him that he's hurt.
Yeah, thank God we didn't tell me they were dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey man, they would love the fact if you told them that he saved your life. You are an archbishop.
I do. I write a letter and I say,
They are Catholic. They are Catholic. You should write it. You should even write a letter to like the representative in Malta and be like, "Oh, Alessio saved me." I mean, they'd
absolutely.
love that
I say,
shit,
give
dude.
my best to the Pope. He's in your area. If you swing by, tell him I said hey, and I write him a nice letter to Alessio's family.
Alrighty. Just letting him know that he's okay and that he saved your life and that kind of stuff, and also writing a letter to Bishop Vitali, the church there in San Luca. He has I think Alessio has 2 brothers. What's his uncle's name though? His uncle's still alive, right?
Oh yeah, the whole clan's there. Let me look at bio.
Paulo Savastano. That's who you would write the letter to. Okay. All right, so you write those 2 letters.
Paulo.
And I organize our journal. In the journal, I start reading all the papers and stuff.
Oh, so you're going into the secret area and pulling that stuff out?
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay, you're just looking over the journal and
Yes.
reading. Okay.
Or I'm writing in my own journal at the moment, putting my thoughts down.
Okay. Actually, guys, right now, why don't we go ahead and do skill and luck checks? Because we didn't do it at the beginning. Let's go ahead and get that over with and do it now. So everybody check their luck first. Roll your luck and try to fail it. Alessio, you'll notice that you've lost a good chunk of luck there.
I failed.
There you go.
So did I.
Get a 1d10 added to your luck, Tom.
Cool. Come on, baby.
Yeah, I failed it as well. 6, all right.
What did I get?
A 3.
Aw.
Oh, Alessio rolls a 0-3.
Oh my God.
You can do skill checks though. Looks like Alessio has listen checked.
What about, I just made a charm roll, so do I need to roll that now or wait until next time?
Fail.
I think you failed your... Oh, you made your charm roll, didn't you?
I did, I was just rolling off Alessio's sheet.
Yeah, that's fine. You can check that.
Okay. All right, I failed it. Awesome. That's probably one of my best increases to any skill I've ever had.
I think Alessio also made a fighting brawl check, Lee. During that skirmish there, I know he made a fighting brawl check.
Yeah,
So
I rolled
check
there
for
we
that.
go.
Nice.
Ooh. Lots of failures.
So add 1d10 to fighting.
5, all right.
The good doctor has some rolls he could be making, but the priest does not.
Okay.
Actually, oh wait,
He made a charm roll, Tom. You can roll your charm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at that! I fumbled.
Shotgun. Okay.
4. Okay.
Nine.
I think I increased everything this time.
All right, so you're adding 9 to firearms, rifle, shotgun, Tom.
Correct.
All right, and also roll for charm too if you haven't already. You made that charm roll.
Ooh, extremely make it.
All right, no bonus there.
Okay.
So make sure
Oh
everything.
wait. No, I'm sorry. That was climb. My bad.
Oh, yeah, you click climb.
Yep, my bad.
Click charm. No, you still made it.
No, succeeded. Okay. I
All
was
right,
gonna say 20 climb.
So
what about factors?
everybody make sure everything is unchecked at this point. Oh, we should also note, and I don't know if you know this, Tom, but Father McBride, he's kind of a small guy.
Yeah, no,
he's got a build of -1. You actually get a damage bonus of -1 on any hand-to-hand attacks.
Oh, great.
It's just -1. So
Father McBride's morning routine is very close to Pee Wee Herman's.
Yeah, very fragile.
yeah, we need to keep.
Lifting up the 1 pound weights.
Do I heal another hit point?
Not yet.
Okay.
This is all. It's all the same day that you guys found Alessio. Still at this point.
Okay. Got it.
However, though, give me an idea roll for Father McBride, which is intelligence.
Hard make it.
He's contemplating.
Yep. Stroking my chin.
So as you're writing
This
in your
pipe-
journal, Tom, you start writing a little bit about what Alessio told you about his dream. This dream he had standing in the backyard of his boyhood home, and this man appearing in his backyard. You remember seeing among the papers and the books and everything, and all of the other journals and stuff. You remember seeing a photograph somewhere in there. And in that photograph was a man that you think may be very close to the description of this man in Alessio's dreams. You just can't remember. You just remember looking at the photograph when you first met these guys, and they were telling you the story. You guys talked all night, and they were showing you all the stuff. You remember seeing this photograph just briefly. And them saying like, this is the guy, but you can't remember exactly what they were saying. But you know that the photograph is among all of these papers and stuff with the books.
The guy wanted for murder.
You can't remember. Just the description, is pretty succinct. In Alessio's dream, he was saying that it was a kind of a youngish looking, baby-faced man with dark hair and spectacles and a gray business suit. And there's something strange about the suit, he said in the dream. He couldn't quite pin it down what was strange about it, but
I'm scanning the players.
I mean, you could look for the photograph.
Yeah, not with these guys here. When is their union?
They're just painting in the other room. All you'd have to do is shut the door.
No. When are they done? I'll wait till the end of the day.
When you tell them they're done.
Hey,
you are the Archbishop.
I need to
Are
rest.
the Archbishop.
You're right. Absolutely. You're right. What am I doing? Hey, thank you. You can leave now. I need my rest. I need to take some rest. It's been a long, horrible time.
Yes, of course, Your Excellency. They kiss the ring.
Yeah, of course. All right. I hang for a little while.
Just like the mafia.
I make sure the door is locked. And I wait for a few, half hour or so. Get some tea, relax. Continue writing my journal, ponder a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely search the rooms where they were working, the windows. I scoped my whole house out, man, my place.
Yeah, the 2 windows in the bedroom are boarded up right now.
Okay.
Because they've been broken out.
Anything else unusual where my bed was and this creature?
No, the room's pretty much gutted at this point. They've taken all of the burn up furniture out, and they've got just kind of rolls of carpet. They're getting ready to put the carpet down when they're done painting, and then they'll bring some new furniture in there.
Okay. How about the bathroom?
Bathroom's fine.
Okay. And the window in the bathroom?
When the bathroom's intact and locked.
No mirrors floating around? All covered, all hidden, all broken, all missing? I make sure of that.
Well, no, that's probably something you might want to take care of.
Oh, I take care of that
I mean,
instantly.
there's a bathroom. You just have like a small personal mirror in your study, which you could just throw in a drawer or something. But there is a bathroom mirror above the sink.
Yeah, I'm not going near that. Or actually, I cover it.
Yeah, you can cover it up with one of the tarps that those guys are having there for painting. That's fine. They've got some tools lying around. You just kind of hammer it, up over the mirror with some nails.
All right, I open up my safe room.
Mm-hmm.
Check this shit out.
Okay. So you're going through these notes, and you're going through like old Farnsworth stuff, and then you kind of get into an area where it looks like some of the stuff from Boston, and you find the photograph, and it's a photograph of 2 men standing sort of in this lavish-looking ballroom, and it looks like it's been clipped from a newspaper. And the caption says, 1922 police ball held, at such and such building for the Boston Police Department, sponsored by, and it says, there's a caption. It says, sponsored by the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. And the caption says, Police Commissioner Thomas and Carl Stanford. And Carl Stanford it looks very similar to the description given by Alessio of the man in his dream. He's kind of pudgy looking, sort of nondescript, but very kind of almost childlike baby face, spectacles, dark hair, and a dark business suit.
I note that next time I tell these guys that immediately the next time I see them.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Alessio saw this guy in his dreams. He would know if he saw the photograph, but it's just something that kind of clicked in your brain when you heard him describe that, and it kind of matches the photograph. He's kind of a youngish looking man in spectacles, dark hair. Could be something.
Alessio, you've seen Carl Stanford?
No, none of you have.
Yeah.
You know the name.
I do know the name.
I mean, now, Tom, Father McBride, of course, would be able to put the name with the face.
Yep. I keep the photograph in my journal. Everything else is still okay, though? Everything else is still there and intact?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's in a safe, like hidden in the floor. It's like under the floorboards, under stone.
Very
like
well.
Just make sure you have the elder signs appropriately placed.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Are you going to take the newspaper clipping?
Yes.
Okay. So just real quickly, Kyle, you're going down to the police station?
Yes, at 4:00. But I want to tag out with Tom. With Father McBride.
Okay.
We don't want to leave. We don't want to leave Alessio unattended.
Right.
I'll come back to the hospital.
Okay, you do. And it's about, it's a little after 3.
I come with my blessings, a flower, some coffee, and some Danish I got from the local deli.
You bring me some cigarettes, Archbishop. I know you got a cigarette in there somewhere.
Yes, His Excellency is walking into the room. He smells like lavender.
Yes. Awesome.
Right, man, well, I have a coffee and a Danish and smoke a cigarette with the Archbishop.
Spread some incense and myrrh.
Yeah.
Does he have his cane with him? Does he have his cane with him?
Oh yes, of course.
Remember, I broke my leg. I have a limp.
Well, actually, yeah, that is true.
I need the cane.
You do. You're kind of gimpy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Got a cast on your right leg.
Yep. So once I thank the nurse and give her my blessings and give her best to her family and kick her ass out of the room.
Yeah.
These guys are all alone. I talk to these guys. Hey, do you know this guy? I show them the picture.
I don't.
Who be this bastard? And does this look like your dream?
So Father McBride shows you this newspaper clipping, Alessio, and you see the caption. You're kind of squinting at it. It's kind of hard to see with that patch over your right eye, and you're kind of squinting at it. And indeed, the dark-haired man with the spectacles is the man from your dream.
I'm like, it's another fucking witch.
Thanks for looking that up, Father McBride.
It's another witch, man.
Apparently, there's a lot of merit to the stories we've been told.
Father, does the church still engage in witch hunts? I think this might be a good time to engage the power of the church.
I am fully trained in the art of exorcism. I performed a few myself. And if that's what it takes, I can handle it. Laddie. This demon spawn that your friends have found has spread apparently further than it should. While I am a study of many religions across the world, this is none like any other. Not even the Mormons are this bad. I changed my tune.
Don't be hating on the Mormons. Those are nice people.
Clearly the Mormons. that cult out in Utah.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of them here.
But this is much worse than that, laddie. And this
is much worse than that.
This must be stopped. So the father has come to a realization. He's all in. He realizes there's some shit going on here. This isn't just some other pagan ritual religion.
No, you have a feeling way down deep in your heart that there is something evil going on. I mean, profoundly evil.
I rub the finger of St. Jude.
Yeah, I tell if he's sitting there with me and we're eating Danish and smoking cigarette and he's rubbing the finger of St. Jude.
Yeah.
That's been unspeakable places. I'll mention to the Archbishop. I'll say, it's possible. I'm like, remember, the Catholic Church has always had
altar
military monastic orders, and also, the Inquisition.
So what a show!
So you might want to, if we get in too deep, man, you might want to contact the church.
Yeah, that's a good point, Lee or Sean, and both. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
who are my people, man?
Alessio's like, especially, I can tell you in Malta, the religious orders and fraternal orders, the church still has the Inquisition. It's just internal, it's not external, and they changed the name. It's like the the internal
Yeah,
dogma
tribunal.
committee or whatever.
Yeah, it's nothing in public or anything like
No,
that.
no.
Yeah, no,
I'm,
it's nothing public.
I'm all tight with
so-
those guys, man. I'm all tight with those guys. They know me.
To some extent, maybe, yeah.
Hell, I could be
It's
the
just a
next.
thought. It's just a thought. I mean, I think again, Alessio's concern, almost dying, is that barring anybody knowing the resurrection spell and being able to bring people back to life, the continuity is an issue, right? As far as how do we pass on information.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking about, trying to establish some kind of fraternal order of our own.
We need to stop. We need to stop dying.
I know that's in the future. Right now, we need to go kill this bitch.
Tom, it also makes you think, kind of based on your idea roll there, like, if you found this, if you thought of this newspaper article, it makes you think, what else might be among those books and papers, because none of you guys really have delved too deep
That's a
into
good point. Yeah, you're right.
those papers and those notes and the books even too. It kind of makes you wonder what sort of information, or clues that all of this material that you guys have sort of inherited may contain.
And the doctor did teach us some crazy shit. He taught us how to make an elder sign, and he taught us how to
bless a blade.
And that shit, well, see, the thing is too, I mean, you would be a little unsure, like, if this stuff even works or if it's even real. I mean, you're kind of taking his word for it, considering the fact that some worm man came out of your toilet a few nights ago. But as far as, because I don't know if you remember me saying, but when you guys
He'll never be able to sit comfortably on the throne again.
makes you wonder, but when I described the blessed blade rituals to you guys, there was no real indication of whether they were really successful or not. I mean, you guys slaughtered the cow as the spell called for. You did your 7 cuts, and you followed the recipe per se, but there was no real indication. There was no booming thunder or anything when you were done. In the elder signs too, you've never seen any evidence that they are what Dr. Van Helsing says they are. I mean, of course, these books and manuscripts that you guys possess are very, very interesting. And Logan and McBride both have studied this occult kind of stuff for some time, but you haven't really delved too deeply into. You've been told the story, and so on and so forth. You've been shown these notes and stuff, and that's where you saw the photograph originally, but you didn't make any connection with who, that Carl Stanford was sort of one of the leaders of the Boston Lodge. But just kind of makes you wonder, what these books and papers and notes and stuff might contain.
So I invite Logan. Logan, we need to leave Alessio here, and you need to come back to the rectory, and we've got some reading to do.
Well, I've got to. I don't think we should leave Alessio alone. Either that, or have him relocated to the church with the.
I was just gonna say, what kind of injuries does he have? We can put him up at the church. There's a room there.
Alessio probably needs to stay in the hospital for a couple or a few more days.
Yeah, that's the doctor's recommendation, but what do you think, Alessio? You want to heal slower on my couch? Or do you want
he's not healing at all right now, actually.
Yeah, I probably should stay here and get the treatment I need, man.
Mechanically speaking, what needs to happen?
I was dead and I came back,
Kind of, yeah. What needs to happen mechanically is he needs about, I don't know, a couple or a few more days. Will be about a week after he took this major wound injury. He'll need a doctor to make a medicine roll on him, and then he'll have to make a constitution check in order to start healing.
All right, well, I'll visit every once in a while and bring a Danish, but otherwise I'm reading the books.
Yeah, I mean,
diving into the shit and studying this cult, because that's my specialty.
Okay.
I tell the Archbishop you should start with the player journals and the notes first, and all the associated, and then take a look at the books. I'm like, but first take a look at all the notes and the journals and the photographs and all that kind of stuff first.
And I take note of all this. Absolutely.
But I think couldn't you pass me read portions of it and then pass some over to
Well,
Me at the
but think about it
hospital?
this way: think about it this way. If it's just the notes and all that stuff, you could take that stuff out of the safe. Just leave the
Yes.
tomes in the safe. Bring the
Exactly.
notes and other ephemera back to the hospital, and while you're sitting with me, you guys can study.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
Right?
We'll start with
But
that.
leave all the
How
important stuff. Yeah.
long does it take us to get through the notes? I mean, yeah, we'll do that.
It'll take a little while. I mean, you guys are basically looking for stuff having to do with the region, for one thing, Scotland specifically, or Canich, really, specifically. Also, you guys have some names, Stanford,
Yeah.
Scott, Chantrain, Belphegor, and all this kind of stuff.
McBain.
Yeah.
And I have Van Helsing's confession.
Yes, you do. Oh, and by the way, the reason, Tom, you were able to start healing was because Van Helsing treated you.
Right. No, I remember.
Yep. He set your leg and all that kind of stuff. So, well, why don't you guys give me a library use roll?
Yeah, I don't think I made one roll tonight. Although my roll is hilarious. Holy shit.
Tom, you rolled an 82. Okay, so you spend pretty much all of Friday perusing these.
Dude, I have a
notes.
70 and I failed. The fuck.
Hey, Sean, I did run down to the police station like the guy asked me to.
Wait, can I push this roll?
Yeah.
What happens when I push it? What happens?
Well, you have to justify it. So that could mean something like, well, I spend, all day and all night and don't sleep, or
I do that, and I use everything that I have. But this is my specialty. This is what I do, dude. I study this shit, and I've got a 70 in it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting this, guys. Just give me a minute, and I turn away from them, and I totally ignore them, and I just study it, drill all night long at the lamp.
Okay. The worst that really can happen by pushing a library use roll is just time. The time it takes you to find something. So go ahead and push it. Push it real good.
Bow, bow, bow.
All right, you do not get the check for it.
Oh,
you pushed
that's
it.
the downside.
You pushed it success. That is the downside.
Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't put your eye out with one of the pages, so that's good.
Or rip a sheet. Oops.
Okay. We're going to keep you in suspense for a moment, Tom.
Okay.
Kyle, Logan, you go down to the police station, and really they just wanted to verify your firearm permit. And in so many words, Inspector McDougal tells you that you and your friends should stay in Inverness. He tells you we're going to extend our investigation to Canich, and we've been in touch with Constable McNeil, who is the constable of Canich. And he basically says, for your own safety, he says, while we are conducting this investigation, it would be best if you stayed in Canich.
Or in Inverness?
Yes, Inverness. And he says we would be willing to provide you with some police protection.
Well, I was going to say, very concerned, and I think we all are on our personal safety.
Now wait a minute, Kyle. Do we want this guy looking at us all the time? We don't know he's good. What if he's one of them?
Well, hold on, Tom.
Okay.
Towards the end of your conversation, he tells you straight up, Logan. He says, Mr. Grant, I have reason to believe that you're not telling me the whole truth about what happened that night. He says, is there anything that you would like to add?
No. We've told you all that we know.
He says, I'd like you to take a little time and sit down, and I would like you to write out what happened that night in an official statement, if you would.
Dude, get a lawyer. Fuck this, laddie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's why I'm going to lawyer up.
Well, that is
Definitely
right,
like-
of course.
Yeah, I was like, I thought. Anyways, yeah. Thank you for your time, and I do believe I need a lawyer at this stage. If I was in the U.S., I'd invoke my 5th and 6th.
He says, well, I do trust that you'll be staying in Inverness. Can we reach you at the hospital or St. Mary's Church? Where will you be staying, Mr. Grant?
Oh, right now I'm going to be at the, between the church and the hospital, but I'll give you, I'll have my lawyer contact you and you can work through him.
Okay, who is your attorney?
Oh, I'm going to have to retain one now thanks to this.
That's the perfect reply, dude.
He says,
Yeah, I've got to hire one now, dude. Thanks.
he says, I'm afraid we're going to have to hold you here at the station until you can contact your attorney. You're free to use our telephone.
What?
All right, so I'll give a call to the hospital and say, McBride, they've got me down here. They're not going to release me. We need to get an attorney.
I'd get on the horn with one of my Mason buddies, and we got lawyers for the church, and I fucking get the army down there. I'm like, what is going on?
All right.
And the lawyer looks a lot
It's an
like
army of Catholic.
Absolutely.
It's an army of Catholic lawyers. Is the worst. It's the worst possible plague you could ever imagine.
I order a bunch of nuns to go out there wailing, singing songs. Oh, free Willy! It's just a big production.
Oh,
So
man.
can you imagine a worse
Free
plague?
Logan,
A bunch of
free Logan.
Catholic lawyers on your ass. That would be horrible.
And Mason, man. The Brotherhood.
And they all look like Dr. Van Helsing. What is this crude
What
interruption?
is this crew?
A crude interruption of the law.
Okay. So within a couple of hours, the lawyer shows up, Kyle. And he starts giving McDougal, and McDougal actually has one of the city attorneys present. And so you're sitting in this meeting with the lawyers and McDougal and yourself. And McBride's lawyer seems to be coming through for you. He's giving them a pretty hard time. And eventually, after about 20 or 30 minutes, they agree to release you, on your own recognizance. They just ask that you do not leave Inverness for the time being. And he again warns you that, we're going to, as this investigation continues into its next phase, we're going to be going, our investigation is going to be extended to Canage. So we especially would advise you to not go to Canage. You understand? It's for your own safety, of course.
See, I can't talk yet, can I? No table talk? Fuck.
No, I mean, I'll just, I'm not going to say anything. I'll just thanks for your time today. And just make sure you contact me through my attorney.
Yeah. And your attorney does advise you that you will have to make a written statement.
Okay, that's fine.
There's no way around that.
I
But
don't wanna
not
make it
today.
under duress.
All right. All right. So back to you, Father McBride.
Has Kyle returned yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he has. And this is when you guys go through it and you're going through all these papers and the
Okay.
books and stuff at the hospital. Okay. It takes some time. I mean, to sort through it. It's kind of a mess, actually. It's pretty unorganized. I mean, there are just sheaves of just paper and notes and Farnsworth stuff combined with, Eusebius Braun's. You read Eusebius Braun's account, of his adventures down in fucking Central America, and it's pretty amazing shit. Whoever this Eusebius Braun guy was, he was a tortured soul. the shit that he went through, if it's to be believed, of course. And why wouldn't you believe it, I guess, at this point? But it's still some pretty amazing and fantastic shit. But you're really not finding anything that's connecting to the current state of affairs here in Scotland, which kind of leads you to start looking through some of these books. Just kind of skimming them, per se, right? Late at night, Alessio's all doped up, lying there in this bed. He's sleeping. And late that night, Logan, you've kind of fallen asleep in your chair, with a book in your lap. And late at night, Tom, the sun is just coming up the next morning. You can see the sunlight kind of filtering through the window. And you're looking through this book, Nameless Cults. And you find this one excerpt from Nameless Cults. And it says, I'll just read it to you here. It says, an excellent example of evil Pictish groups is that from near Loch Mullerdock in Scotland, which is the loch near Canage. These Picts worship the being known elsewhere as the Daemon Sultan, but as in some other locations, the Picts did not perform this worship unbidden by beings of an older and more malign species. Indeed, I know for a fact that these remnants from the days of pre-human reptiles even now walk the earth. Another place where such beings may lurk is in North America, where the great old ones were worshipped long before the times of Columbus. I am here thinking specifically of those locations now held by the Spanish. Editor's note: this was originally written before the U.S. took over Western North America. In California, specifically of those locations now held by the Spanish in California. So specifically, he seems to be talking about here what is referenced in this, the summary of the expedition to Loch Mullerdock and the Roman expedition and their encounters with these so-called serpent people. You've cross-referenced this in this Nameless Cult books, which also seems to be talking about pre-human reptiles. Even now walking the earth, not only in the area of Loch Mullerdock, Scotland, but also possibly in North America, in the West somewhere. Looks like Western United States.
A damn
probably.
franchise.
Yeah. So you find that. Give me another library use roll, Tom. So you decide to see if you can find anything about, because California is specifically mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And
have not been there.
Yeah, and the Spanish, so on, so forth.
That
you can check library use for this one. You find also in Nameless Cults, which appears to be an excerpt by the writer of Nameless Cults, has referenced a book called In Old California. You find this entry here.
Can I see if I can get a copy of that book in our library?
Yeah, you can see if there's one lying around somewhere.
Or maybe my personal library, or here at the church.
Well, we'll see about that. This is an excerpt from In Old California by A. Smith, no publisher, dated 1884. It says, a renegade missionary named Whately visited and remained with a small tribe of Indians known as the Hotek from 1837 to 1843 when he disappeared. Shortly thereafter, the Hotek tribe itself disbanded, its elders evidently having vanished or died. This tribe was notable for its especially savage pagan rites, which Whately seems to have encouraged. He either brought to or found with the Indians a peculiar structure which he called the Ark of Vlactos, and which he believed had connections to non-Christian sky demons. The only other known facts about the Hotek are that they practiced the creation of Kachina dolls to house demon souls. and that they worship gods not mentioned elsewhere in California, such as the serpent god Yig and the horned god Shub-Niggurath. The Hotep dwelt in Devil's Canyon in the Mojave Desert.
Hmm.
Now, what's
Wow.
interesting about this is in your studies, occult studies throughout the years, you've read other mentions of this thing called Ark of Lactose. And you can't actually remember exactly where you've heard this before. It's going to take a little research to figure that out.
Can I roll my occult? Because my occult's pretty high.
Go ahead.
Logan's a researcher of those sorts of things. Yay.
Nice.
What'd
Hey
you get, a
man, you ever
41?
hear of the Ark of the Valkos?
Ark of Lactose.
Ark of Lactose?
Lactose.
Give me 1 second here. It does ring a bell with you, Logan.
I'm thinking back to my days with Hancock and some of the things we searched through and read.
Mm-hmm.
I think I lost you guys for a minute.
No, I'm just silent because I'm trying to find something. This fucking book does not have an index, so I'm trying to find it.
Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I lost you guys for a minute. I got booted or whatever.
Yes.
Actually, here's how I'm going to handle this. Logan, you actually recognize the fact that this book in Old California is where you had heard of this Ark of Lactose before. And not this particular passage that Father McBride found in Nameless Cults, but you remember reading more about it in this book in Old California, although it's been several years, I think. But you know that the British Museum in London has a copy of this Old California book.
Hey.
Hmm. So does Kyle tell me?
Well, yeah. If I made it back, the other thing if I make it back with my attorney, I tell them everything that these guys talk to me about, including they want me to make a written statement. So we got to really tighten up our story. So when I go make it.
Oh, you actually remember. I'm going to add this. You remember the fact that this ark was a container of some kind that was supposed to hold some kind of sacred disc that these Hotep Indians possessed at one time.
Disc. I read a disc somewhere here. Don't we have a
It's
disc?
the same. It's
we
the
have
same
a
disc.
piece. We have a
Yeah,
piece
it's
of the disc.
It's this.
Yeah, some
It's the
beastie brought up to
same
my
disc.
roof in a metal chest. I remember.
Yeah, you remember the ark was some kind of ritualistic container, like a box or something like that these Hotep used to contain some kind of sacred disc that they possessed.
That's the third piece.
Looks like we got to go to.
Well, I shouldn't say that they possessed. That it was supposed to hold some kind of disc.
Yeah. So we have one. One piece was stolen from the dig site. Where did the cop not want you to go, Kyle?
They don't want us to go to Inverness.
No,
note,
no.
I mean,
note
not Inverness,
also,
Cambridge. Sorry.
I just want to say one more thing, guys. Note also that these Indians, okay, according to this excerpt in the Nameless Cults from in Old California, it says that this ark was given to the Indians by this Whately guy. It says he either brought to or found with the Indians a particular structure which he called the Ark of Lactose. which he believed had connections to non-Christian sky demons. So it says he either brought it or he found it with the Indians.
And see, he was encouraging them to do these rites.
Yes,
Yes.
he was.
Probably another witch, right?
Renegade missionary.
Yeah.
And this is like 1840s.
He brought it with him? He brought the thing with him?
Well, it says he either brought to or found with the Indians the ark. It's not clear, according to this. You think that maybe finding a copy of In Old California might have some information, but according to this excerpt, it says he either gave it to them or it was already with them. It's unclear on which. It doesn't make the distinction. However,
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, you guys haven't studied much, but there are notes and such that do allude to this horned god, or as it's talked about in like Eusebius Braun's writings, this Shub-Niggurath. That kind of rings a bell. It's spelled differently in this excerpt, but the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young, yeah, looks like the same god, I guess is what they call it here. And it says they dwelt in Devil's Canyon in the Mojave Desert.
Do we need to go to Devil's Canyon?
It's kind of a shot in the dark at this point, isn't it?
Or do we need to finish?
I mean, you reference a map, you know. I mean, Devil's Canyon is like, I don't know what, hundreds of square miles, you know. So, but it's a clue.
Yeah, but we could do more research.
Yeah, you
Or
could.
do we stay here and find out? Do you think another piece of that thing is here still? You know, the guy that we came to visit, who's dead, we made it to his house. We got the piece. We never went to the dig site, did we? And where are you not supposed to go, Kyle?
Have I healed any?
We are not supposed to go to Canage.
We're getting to that, Lee. Hold on.
Okay.
And what was in Canage?
They're just continuing their investigation over there.
Yeah, but what do we know is in Canage? What's there? We
right
know.
here.
We know the witch. The witch is there.
Is that where we found the book or the chest?
Yes.
Yeah, you found the iron box at Henry Hancock's house, hidden, with one piece of the disc inside. Henry Hancock said that one piece of the disc was stolen from the dig site. As far as the third piece of the disc, you don't know. But in the area of Canage, places of interest would be, or people of interest, I should say, would be Duncan McBain, Ian McLennan, Anne Chantrain, possibly Belphegor if he's there. I mean, there has been a strange Englishman spotted down there. Could be him, maybe not. You guys do have the letter here talking about. I mean, this letter right here is probably the key clue. Duncan McBain writing to Carl Stanford. So Duncan McBain is, very much a person of interest, of course. I mean, Duncan McBain's talking about Anne Chantrain joining him there.
Yeah.
After she's
which we know she's there.
The full Bruderschaft. And he mentions Aleister Crowley, a man named Mr. William Seabrook. The other connection with Belphegor is the fucking Roman expedition, which is an account from, what is it? The first century AD.
It's the same bastard.
First century
It's the same
AD.
bastard.
This story from the first century AD mentions a man named Belphegor. 122 to 126 AD. And Father McBride, the priest in Canich, made that connection because the account mentions Hadrian's Wall, which was built between 122 and 126 AD. And it mentions, Marcus Arturus, this guy chasing this guy named Belphegor. So there's kind of the connection to the Canich area, Loch Mullerdock, and Belphegor. But as far as locations around Canich, I mean, places of interest would probably be Duncan McBain's house. You have a general idea on where that is, thanks to Andrew Kennedy. Duncan McBain's house is near Craig Dubh, which is a hill where the standing stones stand atop of. There's the Hancock dig site on the shore of the loch itself.
The dig site is on the shore?
Near the shore, yep. Near the shore where Andrew Kennedy, or was it Kennedy, or it was either Dr. McFarlane or Kennedy that told you that Henry Hancock told him that they saw some kind of creature kind of akin to a kraken or something like that near the shore of the loch. And after that, they did not return to the dig site. This was shortly before he disappeared. So apparently there's a kraken in Loch Mullerdock.
So do you think we should go to the dig site?
Which is just completely crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, and we don't have the capacity to deal with the kraken.
Yeah, and then there's the McLennan house, Ian McLennan, who purportedly is, Anne Chantrain is apparently lodging with him. She's been seen with McLennan.
Right. That's the possible, because we would have to go talk to him anyways, as far as using any land, right, Sean? Isn't that the deal? We'd have to talk to him for that.
Well, that was just an idea of a way to get firearms into the area. I think he is the wealthiest farmer in the area. He owns a pretty large piece of land near Canich.
So Alessio could break out the disguises. We could go up there talking about getting.
Are you talking about like faking him out? Like, hey, we wanted to hunt on your land. Is that okay? Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely, and then maybe we'd have the opportunity to blow her witch head off.
But I think, isn't Alessio a marked man with Chantrain? Like, she's in your noggin, baby.
Well, that's why I said I'd disguise you guys. I could try to stealth around,
Yeah.
You disguise yourself as
hey, I'm just throwing out ideas, man. Wherever you guys want to go, that's just a possible target.
But kind of like the crux of the whole thing is kind of what I put in Discord the other day. I don't know if you saw it, Lee, but I said quite a bit of time has passed since you've been in Canich. Has the Order found what they're looking for? Alluding to the fact that you guys possess one piece of the disc. You can assume that they have a piece of the disc since they stole it from the dig site. The third piece, they're probably looking for, right? Do they know that you possess a piece of the disc? That's kind of an unknown. You guys don't even know if they know that you have a piece of the disc yet.
So I guess,
right.
I mean, what do we get out of going back to? What do we get out of going back to Canich at this stage?
That's true.
Because we've got a piece of the disc.
No, that's true. I mean,
they're kind of fucked.
The question is, where's the other? Where's the third piece? Is that back in the States?
Yeah.
We need to go.
I think
and we take the disc out of here. Let them keep looking for the disc here, and if they don't know we have it, and just get the disc out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we could go get the old California book from the British Museum, and
get a clear idea of where these Indians lived.
Well, there is a vital clue in this summary of the Roman expedition, where it says, because Marcus Arturus's mission was to find this disc and destroy it. Okay, and it says in here. In part 1, it says Marcus cut down the serpent priest with his sword, and Nemesian tried to break the golden disc. All of his efforts failed until Marcus lent him his sword. The sword cut through the disc, and with a few strokes, the disc was cut into 3 sections. Nemesian was building a fire to melt it down when a great beast came from the mountain and attacked the remaining soldiers. Its wounds healed themselves as fast as they were inflicted. Marcus discovered a serpent priest who had escaped the slaughter of his companions, and when he killed him, the beast went mad. The ground began to shake and the temple collapsed, killing all but Marcus, who was pushed through the doorway to another world. The rest of the expedition died in the rubble. So think about that for a second.
Well,
He
I
cut
think
the disc into 3 pieces, and then they were almost immediately afterwards attacked by some great beast, which killed the entire expedition.
but they were building a fire to melt it down.
Mm-hmm.
So
this was the location of a temple built on the shores of Loch Mullerdog.
Okay, so that's right there.
So maybe the peaks. Yeah.
So all the pieces are. Oh, so maybe the third piece is still there. Or no, this other guy brought it.
Well, if you believe the account of the Roman expedition, I mean, it says they cut the disc into 3 pieces, and soon afterwards, before they were able to melt it down, the entire expedition was destroyed at the location of the temple.
So that means the 3 pieces will still be there.
Yep. More than likely, they're in that location for sure, man.
And if we have one.
Well, this is in the 80s, though. We just read a story where Whaley had something with him in the, devils.
Something called the Ark of Lactose, which apparently was to contain some sacred disc.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not the disc.
White Watley guy.
Like
is he from these parts? Would he have known of this lock?
You don't know. It says a renegade missionary named Whately.
So it's possible he found a piece a long time ago and ran off to the New World. And one piece was found at the dig site. I wonder if our scientist buddy.
2 pieces were found at the dig site.
What's that?
2 pieces were found at the dig site by Hancock.
I'm sorry, I mean the 2 pieces. Yeah, because one was stolen.
Yeah, and I think it would go to figure that probably the third piece would be there as well, man. It's somewhere there.
So, has the Order found what they're looking for? And do they know that you possess a piece of the disc?
Exactly.
And
they do.
so, and where is the third piece? And probably most importantly, what is the disc and why do they want it?
It's not good.
Well, yeah, when he cut it up is when all hell broke loose.
Yeah. It's when the great beast came from the mountain. Apparently the beast's wounds healed themselves as fast as they were inflicted.
So if we put the disc back together, were they melting the disc down or were they trying to?
Yeah, exactly. They cut the disc into 3 sections. They were going to melt it down. So maybe we should try to melt this one piece down. We've got.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What does the disc do when it's if it's in pieces and the beasties come? If it's back together again, do the beasties go away?
It's really kind of a mystery on what the disc is, why they want it. But looking at the disc itself, I think it was Sparky actually that inspected the disc. I don't think any of you have ever actually looked at it. But Sparky did make some notes, and he did note that studying it and looking at it caused him to feel dizzy and slightly nauseous. He noted that the patterns and glyphs engraved on the disc are just very strange. There are sets of glyphs occupying the interior, the top, and the rim of the edge of the disc. And the reverse, one side looks to portray, I mean, it's only a partial piece, but it looks like it probably portrays some kind of winged figure, perhaps a bird, maybe a bird of prey. The opposite side, or the bottom, reverse side of the disc, seems to portray an octopoid figure with swirls and curves, carved with runes and set with tiny gems that glow even in daylight.
We need the third piece of the disc, and does the order know where to find it? Sounds like we know.
Well, and they know.
They definitely know where to be searching because they've been around the lock and they infiltrated the Hancock's digging team.
Yeah,
You
but
know, so
do
they're
they know
probably
that
still.
this is in Western America?
Well, that's
Well, I
kind
don't
of
know
a
if- I
separate
don't-
thing. That's talking about the arc of lactose,
Yeah.
which may or
Yeah.
may not be even related to the disc. You know that, the
Right.
arc of lactose is designed to hold some sort of sacred disc.
Yeah, so you'd probably have to. The arc is a wholly separate other item. You know, the disc itself is one item, and who knows what that does. And then the arc is another. So the
maybe
arc is probably in North America. North America, I guarantee it's probably the third piece is probably somewhere around this dig area. They have to be looking for it, man.
And what if the
Just
arc
searching.
contains this thing? Maybe if it's once it's in pieces, the arc can contain it, its power, like a
Yeah,
giant
well,
elder
yeah.
sign.
It's like kind of a loose connection, but yeah, that seems to be kind of what it's pointing to. If it's even talking about the same disc.
Yeah. But like if you put the disc back together and put it in the box, it would be contained. Its power would be contained. It's like a giant elder sign, holding it at bay.
Yeah, I mean, you've got this
my-
talking about serpent people, which are definitely related to the story of the Roman expedition, and it specifically says about these serpent people that they are known to be present even in present day, or at least in the 1800s when this was written, around the Loch Mullerduck area in Scotland,
In California.
also, in the Spanish territories of California.
Yep.
These serpent people. So that kind of you just stumbled across this thing, an old California excerpt talking about, the West in California, this Hotep tribe, and you could cross-reference the Hotep tribe and did dwell in Devil's Canyon in the Mojave Desert, which is in California.
Exactly.
So, and it talks about this arc of lactose, and Logan remembered reading about this ark in this book in the British Library, talking about how the ark was supposed to contain some sort of sacred disc. Kind of like I said, a loose connection, but could be something there.
And it may not be to contain it, Tom. It could be if you put it in the box, and maybe it's even a more powerful summoning device, right?
Yeah, you're right. It could.
So yeah, that's the real mystery, is like, what is the disc and why do they want it?
And we have no clues to that.
No, I mean,
Too bad we can't try to search for the disc in one of the tomes,
I was going to say, can I flip to the Necronomicon and see if I see a picture of the disc show up?
well, first you're gonna have to skim these books, really.
I skim them.
I mean, think about it, dude. You've got two copies of the Necronomicon. You've got a book called Cthulhu in the Necronomicon, which is sort of a treatise on just this being called Cthulhu and what the Necronomicon says about Cthulhu. You've got a book called Cultistus Gulus, which is about cults in France, cannibalistic cults in France. You've got Legends and Myths of Avalon, which is more of an occult book. You've got Nameless Cult, which is full of all different kinds of information. You've got 9 volumes of Revelations of Glocky, which you haven't even really cracked. So yeah, I mean, you might be able to find out what this disc is with a lot of research. You've got thousands of pages of tomes here.
It would seem to be associated with the serpent people in some way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's because that's who they encountered back in the Roman times. The crazy serpent. If you find some reference to them, maybe there'd be some association with some kind of disc or something.
Well, the account says that Marcus, after many months of searching and questioning the Picts, led the expedition deep into the highlands of Scotland, where they finally confronted Belphegor on the shores of a lake. The serpent people had a temple to their Sothoth the Great, built of stone from the nearby mountain on the shore, and around the temple were other buildings of stone for the use of Belphegor and for the local tribe of Picts who worshipped Sothoth also. So according to the account, I mean, the serpent people weren't necessarily related to the disc in any real solid, any. I mean, if you read the account, I mean, it looks like this Belphegor person is the one who had some kind of relationship with these serpent people. And indeed, maybe the serpent people were sort of guardians of the disc in some way. Sure. It's all really kind of mysterious, isn't it?
It sure is.
Crazy.
Thanks, the party.
I mean, there's a lot to kind of take in, but in order to reference these tomes that you guys possess, and you guys possess some pretty awesome tomes, you're going to have to skim them in order to use them as sort of reference material. And once you've skimmed them, you can say, well, can I, look up this, and see if I can find the information on this. And basically we'll do, kind of a roll, or I'll determine whether or not any information in that book exists on that subject.
The priest starts skimming, man. He starts learning about this evil cult so I can destroy it.
I mean, and of course, you guys as players of Call of Cthulhu understand the dangers of reading these books.
Of course. I seen the doctor. I saw what happened to him. But I'm stronger than the doctor. I have the Lord on my side.
Yeah. Well, here's something interesting too. There's sort of a rule built into 7th edition, and this is pretty interesting, where you have the concept of, when it comes to reading books, you have the concept of being a believer or a non-believer.
Okay.
And if you're a believer of the Cthulhu mythos already, and you read a book or skim a book or whatever, you take the sanity points, when you skim it or read it, and you gain the Cthulhu mythos knowledge. If you're an unbeliever, when you skim a book, you don't take the immediate sanity hit. You gain the benefit of the Cthulhu mythos skill points. But down the road, once you begin witnessing or learning about the truth of the Cthulhu mythos, you begin taking those Cthulhu mythos skill points that you gained as sanity damage, like in like chunks. So in other words, say you're an unbeliever, okay, and you read the Necronomicon and you gain 15 Cthulhu mythos, but you're like, well, this is really very interesting, but I don't know if it's true or not. And then you go out, and you're attacked by a hunting horror, and all of your friends are killed, and you're left, all alone and whatever. And you begin to realize, how the Cthulhu, the Necronomicon talked about these hunting horrors, and shit like that. Boom, you take 15 sanity. Just as an example.
Plus all the other sanity that you take.
Yeah.
Okay. So
well, not plus all the other sanity. It's the Cthulhu mythos skill points that you got. You take as sanity damage all in one shot. I believe that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
So,
well, clearly the priest with his faith in the Lord and Jesus Christ and the Holy Hope and Father and Son and the Spirit,
yeah,
and all that, does not believe the Cthulhu mythos to be true.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think now would be kind of an appropriate time to use this unbeliever rule, where you could begin skimming the Necronomicon. It would take you 2 or 3 days probably to skim through it, and you would gain the benefit of that Cthulhu mythos knowledge without taking the sanity right away. But the thing is, though, I believe in order to use it as a reference, you have to fully read the book. When you skim the book, generally you just learn what spells may be available in the book. I may actually change that rule. I may allow you to use it as a reference of sorts, with kind of a low percentage chance of finding anything in it after you skimmed it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start by skimming it anyway.
Okay, you can skim the Latin Necronomicon.
Yep.
All right. So McBride.
This is what I do, man.
Begin skimming the Necronomicon on Saturday, September 27th, 1924. Anybody else want to read a book?
I'm trying to figure out which one. I don't think I want to hit the Necronomicon, but I'm just trying to find. I'm trying to decide between Legends and Myths of Avalon, Nameless Cults, like somewhere where I think the strongest.
Well, one benefit of skimming a book is learning what, if any, spells may be contained in the book. And so far, you guys have not skimmed Cultus Desculus, Cthulhu and the Necronomicon, or Revelations of Glauci. You know what spells are contained in the Necronomicon that you have, and you know what spells are contained in the cults.
So but I'm trying to look
then again,
for
you have,
leads.
but then again, you have to consider what you can use it for skimming for. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I'm not looking for spells. I'm looking for leads on this disc. As a researcher, do any of those seem more likely? I think Cultus Desculus, which is, you know, it looks like it's based, most of it's in France. I don't think that's probably the right one, but maybe the Revelations of Glauci, or maybe the Legends and Myths of Avalon. One of those two.
Well, here's something interesting, Logan. The general description of Cthulhu in the Necronomicon is it's a manuscript, and it begins with the Necronomicon's numerous references to a monstrous water elemental or god called Cthulhu. And he basically kind of goes off through it's a manuscript, so it's all handwritten. You imagine it's probably pretty rare, for one thing. But it just takes you on a journey through the mythology and folklore around the world, having to do with this god or water elemental, whatever. And you may, which may lead you to make the connection, like one side of this disc does portray an octopoid figure with swirls and curves, which seem to be stylized waves.
All right, that's the one I'm like, this is exactly the one I want.
You know what I'm saying?
Jam my face straight in and get to work.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's a smaller manuscript too. It wouldn't take that long to probably
And it has pictures.
read through it.
Now, Sean, do we have to state like whether we believe or don't believe, or do we have to roll for believing or not believing?
Well,
Or how are we going to work that?
I think it should be kind of the player's choice.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Is there any way you could fight it off if you didn't want to? Like, what if you rolled poorly, you're starting to believe, and you wanted to fight that off and say, no.
No, you'll know when you believe. I mean, as of right now, I'd say you're pretty close to believing after what happened that night and you're in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You're pretty close.
Man.
You're pretty close, but that could have been just a manifestation of Satan or something. You don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, that's probably your best guess.
Given the exorcisms I've done and what the Mormons are doing out west.
Yeah, I think as far as McBride is concerned right now, it's the fucking devil, man. There's witches, this black goat of the woods. That's Satan.
Exactly. It's Satan. Exactly.
So he's probably
either that or the nuns have been feeding you some pretty parasite-infested foods.
So he's close to believing, but I would consider McBride. He's an unbeliever, a non-believer at this point.
Okay.
But no, you can't choose. Once you believe, you will know when you believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll know.
We'll probably all know.
Yeah, something will happen, and it will just be irrefutable. Like everything I read in the Necronomicon is real, and that's when your mind gets blasted.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's when McBride just kind of goes running off, and he joins a monastery up in the hills of Tibet somewhere, and just and that's it. He's done.
Start my own cult.
Right. All right. So Logan, you're going to skim Cthulhu and the Necronomicon.
Yes.
So Lee, are we going to continue the trend of shunning the books, or do you want to?
Alessio's. No, Alessio's not skimming anything.
Alessio's like Andre the Giant.
Of course, there is the sort of built-in benefit of having Cthulhu Mythos knowledge, with Cthulhu Mythos skill points, because it's kind of a catch-all. There may be times during the game if you have Cthulhu Mythos skill, I may say, hey, roll your Cthulhu Mythos, and if you roll really good, it might be some awesome clue that just kind of changes. It's kind of a game changer kind of thing, That is a benefit.
He's thinking about it. Alessio hasn't quite gotten there yet, though.
Okay.
You need a believer.
Jesus
You need to be a believer to cast a spell.
Yes, I believe so. Of course.
Uh-oh.
But I'll make an exception for the blessed blade.
Okay.
Because you're almost a believer.
All right. I guess if I'd be a true believer if I cast one of those. What was the creature that landed on my roof with the box? What was that called?
The airy travelers.
Yes, if I summoned an airly traveler, I guess that would be pretty clear if he showed up.
It might, but
Okay.
really they're more kind of war-making moments that make you a believer.
Okay. So we gotta learn that spell again, then, man. Aerial traveler, because that was pretty handy.
It was pretty handy.
He got us all those books. He got the gold piece taken away.
Yeah.
I mean, he saved us a bunch of times.
I mean, there were some sanity hits there too, though.
Yeah, but it was worth it. Even the doctor agrees it was worth it.
I mean, that's the risk you take.
And that's an opinion you can bank on.
Absolutely. I start to read the notes about the doctor and during his confession about the airy traveler, and I looked that up specifically.
All right. Well, we'll do the skimming rolls and stuff next session.
Okay.
Actually, we don't even really have to roll for skimming. But it will take a few days.
All right.
Logan, you can probably skim the Cthulhu Necronomicon, overnight.
Yeah, let's get booted up on these books, guys. We need the knowledge.
Yeah, and of course, the name of the game though, Tom, is you're gonna die or you're gonna go insane, and sometimes it's up to you and like how fast that happens. and reading the books and stuff, that's accelerating your demise. You realize
I understand, but you know what? I could just as easily be touched by something and have my leg shrivel black, okay,
Sure.
and then be turned into a human again through some salt shaker.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
there's lots of ways to go.
Yeah, or you could get stabbed in the chest and burned alive, like
Exactly.
Alessio, who miraculously survived. And I'll tell you guys what happened with that, more or less, is last session, and I don't know if you heard this, Tom, because I think I mentioned it before you logged on, is that I made a boo-boo last session. You actually can use luck points on combat rolls. You can use luck on combat rolls.
Lee, you lucky bastard.
I was confused because you can't push combat rolls, okay? But you can use luck. So what I did is I figured, if I would have allowed Alessio to use a little luck in that combat, I think Lee said, yeah, it'd have been about a 50-50 chance of surviving. I was like, yeah, you're probably about right. So
Awesome.
that's why we kind of decided to let him squeak through this one.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, I feel a little bit better about the salts then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
horribly burned and stabbed, but the firefighters basically pulled him out and gave him resuscitated.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
awesome.
He was
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Alessio's not a custode infiltrator. He's Alessio. Good old Alessio.
And you have your bag of tricks, so even though you're burnt on half your body, can't you like hide it and make yourself look like somebody else? You're a master
Oh,
disguise.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I still have my disguise skills. Absolutely. Yeah. And I can disguise you guys too.
Is Alessio's pus-infested wounds getting any better?
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do right now. Okay. That's good. Lee, roll Alessio's Constitution. So the way major wounds work, if you get an extreme success on your Constitution roll, you can get rid of your major wound.
Yep.
Or if you get up to half your hit points back through medicine rolls. So the doctor made his medicine roll. He had a 66. He rolled a 63, so he made that. So roll your con, and you failed. All right. So after a couple more days in the hospital, Alessio's still doing pretty bad. He's not healing. He's got those festering wounds, and he's gonna need basically another week of doctor's care. So maybe now would be a time to skim some books.
Yep.
So now after another week goes by, another medicine roll, and then another Constitution check to see if Alessio starts.
How about my leg? Do I want my healing my leg?
You're healing normally. Yeah, you're getting 1 hit point back per day. So
That'd be
once you get rid of the major wound, you start healing 1 per day. So Logan, you can heal 1, and
Cool.
Father McBride can heal one.
One a day or one a week?
One a day.
Okay.
Just these major wounds are fucked, man. Once you take a major wound.
I'm past it. I've made the major wound roll last time, though.
Yeah, you made your Constitution roll.
Yeah.
So Alessio's pretty fucked up. As he should be, I guess, considering what happened.
I mean, stabbed in the heart.
Yeah. Well, it missed your heart by that much.
That's the luck.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I made Alessio expend, I think, 20 luck points. Saved him.
Cool. Good. That's
He
good.
had a cannoli in his pocket. It saved him.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's just some stuff to think about until next week.
Oh man, we've got so much to think about.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah. So you got some good clues tonight, at least. You have a little more of an idea of what's going on.
Will you leave? I mean, I know during the week. Can you leave this page up this week so we come in and reference all this stuff, Sean?
Yes.
All right. Cool.
And also, if you go into the journal tab,
Players' journals.
Yeah. And then go down to handouts and open that up. And I've got all the handouts in here, starting from Chapter 1, Hermetic Order, Chapter 2, Look to the Future, Chapter 3, Covenant of Canich. And I'll put these new handouts in the list as well.
Okay, well, let me just...
So yeah, they're all in there as well. So even if we're not on this page, you can reference them there.
The Great Witches of Britain.
Yeah, that was we guys were learning about Anne de Chantraine. 1620, she was arrested, charged with witchcraft. All
They've
those
been around a long time. That's that resurrection spell, man. Keeping these freaks alive.
You have no idea.
Need to find these witches and kill them.
Yeah.
Well, I just think of the essential salts. You know, they can bring back these custodes. You know, and they've been she's been around since 1642 or whatever. Jeez.
1620 is when she was convicted, so she was around before then.
Yeah, and I think from another handout too, and some more information, I think she was burned at the stake again, like at least twice. You know, same thing with John Scott. He was killed and brought back.
She's like one of those like trick birthday candles, you know. You have to keep blowing it out.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the other one was in 1745 when Chantraine is mentioned. It says a young girl in her late teens was arrested on charges of witchcraft, and she was released later that year upon order of a local justice. Here. So, yeah, some of these guys have been around for a long time.
What's this Clyde Whipple, 1721?
Yeah, that was the guy over in Boston.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that like led the peasants to go burn John Scott in Boston. He was like the leader of, well, I guess, a member of peasants who went and rose up against John Scott.
And when was the witch? The witch came in 17 what? The teenage witch, 1740 something?
Yeah, the earliest mention of her was 1620 something, and then again,
okay,
1745.
Okay. So it's not Carl Stanford's daughter or something. Okay.
Well, Clyde Whipple's the narrative of Clyde Whipple talks about John Scott, who was the one of the masters of the lodge in Boston, and that was 1721. So it can be assumed that John Scott was at least 300 years old, and Chantraine is maybe 400. Now Belphegor, who knows? I mean, if this is a real guy, I mean, he's mentioned in an account from 100 AD. So.
Ooh. Really?
He could have just taken the name because he thought it was cool, but I don't know. You decide.
Yeah.
But officially, his date of birth is 1890, according to the wanted poster. here. Oh, don't forget about the 1,250 pound sterling reward for capture and conviction. It's a nice chunk of change.
Dead or alive?
Is it?
That says capture or conviction.
Well, we could get the capture part down.
Uh-huh.
Convicted of being dead.
Well, that's a good chunk of change. That's about, I don't know, 15, 20 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand.
Oh,
Today's.
which reminds me of the will, which reminds me of setting up one of those. How would we do that, Sean? By setting up like one of those fraternal orders. You know, more. We just keep calling it this will, but I mean.
Yeah, well, Lee suggested that you set up a trust.
Just get a hold of Jake. Get a hold of Jacob.
No, I think it's in a trust, but what I'm talking about is like having like an order of people to pass this stuff down to, like
that's kind of for you guys to decide how to go about that.
Through the Masons or something. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Do we have?
That might be a good start. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some convincing to be done. I mean, this is no laughing matter. I mean, what are you gonna tell them, Tom?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think your church Inquisition Templar, some sort of sect that's devoted to, Cthulhu defense. There's got to be something in there we can dovetail, get funded by the church, and
like all of my buddies who like take part in the exorcism and study that and know that and have practiced it, because that was a schism in the church too for a while. I didn't believe it. Popes wouldn't even acknowledge it.
Well, here's what I might suggest, and I think Lee's on the right track. As far as backup characters, Tom, you need a backup character. We should always have a backup character. Kyle, you need a backup character. Tom, when you make your backup character, try to make it fit into that sort of narrative.
Yeah, that's why my next guy's a Mason.
Yeah. Try to make it fit into somebody who would be willing to take the jump, that leap of faith. Like, well, if the Archbishop says, I mean, it's got to be true.
There's going to be a Catholic priest that's formerly a Hotech tribe member.
I could just, I don't know. We have to have that conversation in game, like role play it out. It's like, Archbishop, a man made of worms, you say?
I think one of my favorite lines of any of the things we role played was with I think Morgan, Dr. Morgan.
Yeah.
These are your methods when we were talking about bringing dynamite.
Yeah.
These are your methods.
As far as an archaeological, these are your methods.
Hey man, it's the 1920s. Dynamite works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, with the backup characters, we can kind of maybe go on that direction.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That makes sense.
And in the investigator's handbook, which you can, if you don't have a hard copy, you can look under the rules section here. You can get the PDF for the investigator's handbook. There's a whole chapter in there on investigator organizations, and they give some sample organizations in there, just some some background, might give you some ideas.
Yeah. No. I was looking at that. Definitely.
And by the way, I've also got the main Keeper's Rulebook PDF in there too. You can download if you want to look at that.
Cool.
The
good game, guys.
The spell book I'm going to keep to myself. There's an awesome Call of Cthulhu grimoire out. It's totally awesome. All right, yeah. Let's wrap this up. Until next week, then.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That was a great game. Very, very fun.
It was. Welcome back from the dead, Alessio.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I guess you guys are going to have to decide, whether you want to go to Canich and, go against what the police are telling you. I mean, maybe that didn't work out kind of how we were expecting. Like, we want the police on your side, but they're kind of telling you it's probably all Logan's fault because they don't believe Logan and what he says.
What does the cop say? Will the cop cooperate and tell us anything?
Well, I made my charm roll. He just doesn't like me.
Maybe I need to talk to him. Actually, we could go there in disguise. We can go there. You can be in disguise. I can just go there. He never told me I can't go. My parish is up there.
No. He was implying
if
that
you-
none of you should go to Canage.
Yeah, but he.
Yeah, but I
it
wasn't
was
there. I
a.
didn't hear
It was a
that.
request. It was a request. He was
Right.
asking us not to do so.
Right.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's no legal order against us doing it.
Right. I was
He's
not
just asking us.
He told Kyle
Yeah,
not
he's just asking us.
his
Please.
attorney, not
He's
my
just-
attorney.
Well,
Well,
he,
he
even
kinda is
Kyle,
our
he just
attorney
said, "Please
from the
don't go."
church.
yeah, he
He was like,
basically
"Don't go
telling,
up there,"
telling
but-
Logan and his friends or whatever, like, just stay out of Canage. We're willing to provide all of you police protection. You should stay in Inverness until the investigation is over.
I have the Lord's work to
Right.
do.
So
Sorry.
I know you do. You're
I
not gonna
cannot
be able to. You're not going to be able to stay away from Canage.
cannot be hindered by your mortal rules. The Lord is a higher calling. Canage it is.
Just watch out for the Kraken.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
yeah.
Just an
Yeah,
excuse to
don't
get
fuck.
sucked up by tentacles.
The great beast from the mountain, or whatever it is.
Don't fuck with the Kraken, man.
Mm.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Good.
All right.
See you guys.
Good game, guys.
Talk to you
Good
later.
game.
Yep.